least I have a shot then.
Sure.
Maybe a spark in my hand to have some deniability.
Okay. Let's
And with everybody at 9, I just come here and beat literally anybody except Imson.
let's talk. Let's start down here with the shipwrights of Axis, and we could just go in order, I guess. Or if anybody has any really super jump out comments, they want to throw them out there. How about who was playing it? That was White. So Deft. Do you have any comments as the person who was playing it?
Um, this feels like too many resources. I think everything else is in a very good spot with this faction, but 6 resources for only unit upgrades, only when it happens, only if you have already given them an access order is too much.
Okay.
Um,
I mean, look at your
as a very similar thing, reveal prototype the action card makes you spend 4 resources
Mm.
when you are in a combat. I would imagine that the combat is about as hard as a requirement as unlocking this and then having the access order in the right spot and then having the resources available. So I say I'm pretty sure they should be only B4, but I have no other comments. This is a great faction. It's well designed. It's well balanced.
Cool. And continue moving clockwise around the table. The Syndicate. Peter, anything comments from playing it?
Are you very?
I
I
can't
can't
hear
hear
what
you,
you're
so I
saying,
have to
Kilroy.
close the.
I'm sorry.
Peter's quiet. Anybody comments from things that you saw them doing?
Sorry, you asked something?
Yes. Did you have any comments about your experience playing with the Syndicate?
I really didn't like the commander. Didn't use it anytime, so.
I think it's a very strong commander.
I,
I think
I
it's incredibly powerful.
it is situational. Yeah, it's not something you're gonna pop every time, but there are
Can you
times with
sustain for this?
yes.
Yeah, sure,
So,
but then you need
so you
ships.
never have to upgrade your
Yeah.
dreadnoughts. They always have 2 movement as long as you're willing to sustain them.
So ended, huh?
Yeah, I fucked up on the hero from Zipolin because it's bullshit.
You win made you mean.
Yeah,
That's so funny.
yeah. I dictated policy and then Zippo was like, "Yeah, me too."
I can't
That's
hear
so
Yeah, he's
funny.
soul caged into a win.
So that thing just moves every
Peter. I saw it as
time.
a robot.
Yeah, you are. It just moves around.
All right, everyone. Thanks for the
Okay.
game. It was very fun.
Yep.
I think Philro is still doing
Alright.
his round.
Yeah. Any comments on the Raiders?
Did the unveiled path?
Uh,
Yeah, sorry, I didn't use many of their abilities, so I can't say.
Okay, that's a fair answer.
I would like the Necrophage hero to be you choose a hero and that's the one you use when you want to use it. I think it's not necessarily too powerful, but I think it's a little bit too versatile, maybe. And also, it just will blindside everybody with all the kind of bullshit happening.
It'll be action phase.
It happened to the best PI player in the world, so it will happen to others.
That is true.
But jokes aside, I think it would still be powerful enough if you just had to commit to a hero that you choose for it when it gets purged.
In other words, get rid of the move. You can snap one, and then that's the one. Once you've got one, you're committed to it.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But I mean, it also has to be unlocked to start collecting stuff. That's kind of weird.
Yes.
Yeah, but who's going to use their hero immediately? You're gonna score 3 things before the 4th round starts.
Yeah, yeah.
It was.
I
It
mean,
was. There
now
was.
it has to
an
wait for
intentional.
something to be spent.
There was thought there that the balance factor of hey, if you don't get it unlocked early, or if somebody can sneak stuff out before you use it. But yeah, maybe having to commit it to one and then you're committed to that one is the way to go with it. And that was on the drawing board as a possible alternate.
I think it could be used as anyone at the table, and it doesn't matter if they unlocked it or used it.
I thematically we'd want to keep it on that you're using the dead hero.
Yeah, when the hero gets purged, you raise them from the dead.
Yep.
Yeah, makes sense to me. And also, like I'm saying, I think it's still powerful enough even then.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
this
even
was
to
very obviously this hero you're gonna use it on, and very obviously we're gonna keep using that hero all around, right?
I was considering this one if the unit upgrades gave me something.
yep,
Yeah, if that objective came up, right?
Yeah.
sure.
But yeah,
It didn't.
it was much more likely that I feel like there was like an 80% chance you were using this hero,
It was gonna be this one all
and
game.
the other 5 heroes shared the other 20. Like,
Cool.
yeah.
Um
Since it can be that strong, you don't want to give the ability the other 20% where it still wins the game, right? That's
I I do think that this was an unusual, just circumstantial use of the hero for to sneak into a win. That the odds of that particular combination that thing's coming up
well, the
is actually
Sacred
pretty low.
Situation had very low odds, yes, but something like this has
Mhm.
very high odds, I think.
Fair enough. We'll certainly look
Like
at it. Like I
just
said, we're
throwing a
collecting
name out,
information.
you like yeah, you could commit to one of those, but if you have both, that is ridiculous, right?
Yeah,
If you could always choose between them.
yeah. And it may be that we need to, remove the, if you may be able to move it, but you can only have one cage trapped at a time.
Um,
So
sure.
that way you could cage it, but if you switch to something else, you're giving up on whatever you previously had
Yeah,
caged.
yeah, I like that. If you could move it around, but then you forget about the last hero.
Yeah.
I like that change. But
The
we'll just bring it to whoever knows more than I. It's just my impression.
well, I designed it, so I'm kind of the big decider on that one. I just got to get it past Tactic Blue.
I'm mostly just sad because the docks didn't have room for fighters. That's very counterintuitive to me,
Yeah.
and that I couldn't actually deploy them anymore when I put 2 out.
The big thought there was that mostly a lot of it was we had to lose the fighters because the ability to there just wasn't space on the card, and I really wanted to have the deployability here. Um, and yeah, there is a deployability there, but it balance it out with because you can move it, take something, deploy it there, and then have a build there is a fairly powerful thing, and so
Yeah,
you
that's
could be a.
fine. It is fine. I mean, that's just what
It's
I
just
was
yeah,
left with.
and it's one of those things where you learn it, and then once you know it, certainly if you play with it again, you're going to be aware of it, and it won't get in your way. I think the
They
augurs.
were fun. I did only use the agent once. I'm not sure if that's representative, but yeah.
I've used it a fair amount. Like I will sell it to like give people an extra hit or to make somebody miss. I use it all the time to meddle in other people's combats.
I guess we didn't have enough combat.
So, and plus you can use it for non-combat dice rolls too.
Yeah,
When it don't always come up very often, but can depending on what's going on in the game. The augurs. Any comments on the augurs?
Yeah, I have some thoughts about the ogres. First of all, the strategy around them is very complicated. It's pick trade, get a slice that is set up for it, and I think that you are really dependent on having a tech spec planet or legendary planet in your slice to take advantage of exploration, and the agent is like very important and very hard. So I think that this is a faction that works best in a draft system where you pick slice, where you can pick slice first, for instance. And then that's the first thing that you are dependent on with the ogres. And the second thing you depend on is getting trade a lot. I didn't get trade once in this game because tech is something you will have anyways. You just get flooded with tech all the So what I was trying to do is like to set up for a 2 point objective nobody else could score, right? And that's a gamble. So there's a lot of circumstantial things about the augurs that I like in a way, because that's what TI is. You gamble on one horse and then you see if it works out. But also, I think it's a bit obvious when people get to play them more what they're going to do. Some interesting things about what I did here, the future, people paying me to tell them the future, and I could lie to them. That I think that's interesting part that I haven't tried out because I have not lied in this game. And I also think that yes, you need to set up for the 2 in 4 colors, for instance, or 3 text technology, unit upgrades, and just hope nobody else gets it because you don't need Imperial, you don't need tech, but you are very dependent on a lot of resources. Resources that I didn't have. I mean, trade goods. You need trade, and so it's weak faction in the way that you need a lot of factors to happen for you to be powerful.
A lot of things have to fall into place, but
Yeah.
if they do, it's amazing.
If they do, you just win. And what I like about it is it's an exploration faction. I think that's fun. It has the feel of Titans a bit.
Hmm?
A mixture between Titans and Nalu, say.
Cool.
And I like them. I would not consider them to be very strong, and I also think that in combination with the hero over here, the use of my hero loses value because we were like stalling our heroes, and I was expecting like him to like undo what I did. So
Hmm.
I think what was said earlier about the yellow hero is very important for this hero also, and a lot of other heroes, that my superpower makes no sense when yellow when like Michael Mentor is in the game, and that's why I also gave him my Irish Promisor notes, because I thought it didn't make sense in a way to just
I think
let them know.
I'm gonna propose. I think that the hero purges any previous captures when you capture somebody, so that way you only have one hero under it at a time, and that will reduce the explosion bloat there.
Yeah. If you like exploration, this is the faction for you. And if you like tech, if you are a tech heavy player, this is the faction for you. Its tech's its abilities, its versatility, and exploration is just fun.
Yeah, they
So
seem fun, but isn't the mech a bit strong because you get it for free, right?
no, because you can only have 4 of them, right? So you get all the 4 max, and then you sit there, and you don't get use of the deployability. So
Yeah,
that's my problem. You need to take the max out on adventure and attack something. And perhaps you should actually get.
I
Or you could put them over here.
it's a similar balance effect on the augers mech that you see with the Tanelis mech, because the Tanelis mech can drop somewhere and totally circumvent PDS and just snatch planets out from underneath things. But at the same time, when you capture a planet with a mech like that, with the deployability, it's stuck there because quite often because
You're talking about blue, the scent, the
Yeah.
next, yeah, Nellis, yeah.
yeah,
I,
you can use them to capture planets and stuff, but quite often then because a destroyer doesn't have any capacity to pick it up and move it afterwards, so you're kind of sticking it there, and it's often stuck there for a turn or two, so you can get
I
a
actually,
something over there to pick it up again.
I actually believe that augurs would do well with self-assembly routines and go slightly on the offensive with the max, because you just let the max die, you get trade goods, and you get them back with tech.
Yeah,
It'd be a good idea, and then war sons after that. That would be a better tech path. I don't think this tech path was ideal. I was just setting up for 2 in 4 colors, which I
yeah,
thought made sense.
and that's fair. Every game is going to be different, so.
Yeah, it's a fun faction, not very powerful, but fun and very situational.
But again,
Very
when everything
specific
falls
things.
into place, you just win.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that's what I
giggle, you're
figured.
all the way to 10 points.
Yeah, that's what I also figured.
any
And it
any
was also well defended here. I chose this slice because I thought, okay, if I'm going to be ahead in points, then nobody's going to
yeah.
get through here into my home system. I could and
Sure.
just winning my slice. That was my plan. It didn't work, but and you also get a lot of relics, so I think you are in good position to get a shard also.
Yeah. Which, if you had picked up a shard somewhere along the way, you would have been hit 10 first.
Yeah, for sure. But you don't need Imperial. You can get this tech. You can take one pick of tech and get the green one instead, right? You can. It's like graphics. If you have all action phases, if you're lucky, you can just if you see that your first one is action phase and you see your second one is action phase 2, get this one and score the publics extra
It's
publics.
pretty nice that you can pick it up with this one and then use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's some synergy here that I didn't need in this game, but I was planning to try to do that. But
I think it's kind of rough to get this one though. If you want some unit upgrades, mobility.
Yeah, you would have to be picking out, I think, a slice with a green skip in it to make it feasible.
Yeah.
But again, this
I
is
wouldn't mind if
potentially
you push
game
it
winning if you
for
can get
yellow.
it.
yeah, but Phil, then you need a slice with a legendary planet or like a good Texas
Or a
planet,
tech
like
skip.
a
I mean,
little bit
if you
better.
made it yellow, then everyone would probably get it, but you don't always need it. But so you still have to commit to several yellow tech.
You don't. No, I don't think you do actually. I don't think that's the path.
I think it would be a more viable option.
Yeah.
Yeah, green skip. Yes, you want a green skip, and you also want a good resource tech skip planet with a space icon that can keep re-exploring, right? So that's like two things you need in a slice, and it's already too much.
But like there are times when, like, if you were multi drafting or whatever, and you were whatever, there are times where you would have a slice that you would very definitely pick this faction out to play in it. So,
Yeah, and it's a Cruiser 2 faction
and,
from
it,
the beginning.
and there are lots of people who love Cruiser too.
Yeah, I like Cruiser 2. So it's just a lot of things in this faction that I like, just for the fun of it.
Yep.
Good job. You made it.
I forget who made that one off the top of my head. Um,
Mm.
On to Veldir.
Hey, I think they are really strong. I like playing them. Um, I like the ability of those branch offices. That's a pretty
Yes.
nice thing. Really enjoyed this. Um, what I think was a little bit, they feel like everything is made to solve issues they have. Like the commander, I thought was very, so it's okay for them, but I don't think it's super necessary. I think you can handle something with your commodities if they are not trade goods, and it's basically worthless for everybody else on the table. And the agent, I only used it for my own home planet to follow tech. So basically, it's like make the home planet a 4/3 and give them another agent, and it's the same. Like maybe I should have sold this to anybody, but I haven't seen any chance or any situation where it would have made sense. So it was basically I used the agent to make my 3/4 planet a 4/3 planet. So if this would have been a 4/3, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it felt like those two they are linked to each other, and that's fine and everything. But it's so this is linked to their ability. This is linked to their ability. So there's no over the table strange strength in them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you didn't see a whole lot of opportunity for selling your alliance or agent
Exactly.
use.
Like I gave my alliance to Imsen in some kind of trade where we needed a little bit more, and this is basically almost worthless to anybody.
I mean,
And
Yeah.
I
it's
would have
also
liked it.
pardon.
I would have liked the alliance. I generate commodities with my ability
Yeah.
and also with my flagship.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't seen a flagship. Yeah, I didn't pay attention to the flags. I had.
I mean, when Imson stole my 4 commodities with salvage, if I had your um, thing, then they would have been trade goods.
Yeah, at least one or two
Yeah, yeah.
because you can only do one at a time. But yeah, they are really solid. The dread is really cool. I liked everything about them. They are pretty straightforward, a strong faction, I guess.
Cool. Cool. Well, appreciate the comments. Like I said, I recorded it so that I can post it to the Discord and Stars folks because we're getting collecting feedback. And
Yeah, great
g-
job.
generally speaking, the general feedback is we haven't really hit very much that was overly OP and busted. Most people are like, yeah, they're not necessarily super overpowered because the fear is if everything's overpowered, nobody's going to want to use it because they're like, oh, it's so overpowered, we can't use it otherwise. It's like everybody's got to use Discord Stars or nobody can. We wanted stuff that was fun to play and stuff to throw into the mix, and I think we succeeded in that regard.
Definitely.
And definitely things that feel different than anything else that's in the board. Like nothing here plays like something else. Some things play similar to or have a similar feel, but they still have each faction has its own distinct feel for how it does and what it does.
Yeah.
Hi guys, this is just to interrupt for a second. Any of you guys up for a game in an hour and a quarter on the finals map?
No, sorry. I'm
You're all done in.
sorry.
Well, uh, let me know if you do, if you change your mind. All right, thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
Yep.
Bye.
Cheers.
But
Bye.
Flora, you also need to consider what happens when these factions get mixed with base game and POK factions.
We did.
Like,
We did, and very much we were also even looking ahead a little bit at possible Franken down the road. But very much all the abilities were designed from the get go to be like necro virus compatible. That was a huge design consideration.
okay.
Stuff like that. We didn't necessarily get as much playtesting in the alpha stage as we did against the base factions, but we did do some. And we thought it was very important to occasionally get some base factions thrown in, especially the more powerful ones, and even some of the weaker ones, just so that we could get a sense of the relative power level to base game.
Last time I did a Franken, I think Yvonne had Hakan's mech and Nasruka's commander. And he kept giving planets back and forth, emptying the exploration deck
Yeah,
every round. And that's like something I would consider broken. And that's already in the Franken in the base game.
yeah. So it just we did consider base game integration when we were building it, at least at the theoretical level. Stopping to very intentionally look at those kinds of things. Um, we all wanted to do different things. I mean the
You done an excellent job.
the Miko Mentori, they started off as everybody talks about all these abilities to re-roll stuff. I want to pre-roll. I want to know what my results are before I decide what I want to do. And so then the question became, how do we balance that? Originally I was even thinking about tying the number of omen dice that you had to how many base stocks you had out on the board. But for simplicity, we just decided to, just go with a straight 4.
I think the Omen dice is a nice thing. The hero is, you need to change the hero, I think.
Yeah. And we knew it might need a little bit of adjustment potentially. Because you're right. Yeah, having 3 or 4 hero level abilities collected up would be exceedingly busted. I'll blame Tactic Blue for that one. That was his brainchild for what the hero should be. Which is, and he helped with this one, which is why you'll notice Lecturius Indigo is the name of the Indigo being a name for blue. Where he stuck his own little nod to himself in. I suggested it, but and like the other heroes over here for the Tenella Syndicate, I'm the commander.
Yes,
Davish,
Thank you very much. I think I'm heading to normal life with my wife now.
yeah,
right. Bye-bye.
Have a
But-
great weekend.
I'm the commander. David Esnori, who's the other custodian, is the agent. The hero is Terra Surveyor, who's actually the actual Discord owner. I think the Tenellis, when you get down to it, the Tenellis and the Michael Mentari, I think, are excellent examples of balanced faction design in that everything that they do is interrelated, but can't do it all. And whichever direction you go with it, it can do something. You know, Daedalon flight system, if you go with carriers and infantry and your theft, you know, you can invade with your mechs, drop your mechs, blow up the entire space fleet overhead, and then your carriers full of infantry can just drop stuff. You can go carrier destroyer
Hmm.
and just and dominate stuff. Because by blowing up the fleet overhead, now you can drop all your infantry and invade the planets, and you make up for the fact that you have already sustained your mechs when you dropped them.
Or Dread Ones actually. You can just stain them and go fly.
Yeah,
Just
you could even
ones.
do it with Dread One. Yeah,
So Dread One was what was I was thinking at least. Like you go blue, red, and you just get Dread One
yeah.
for a
You
good
can- you
run.
can- you can go a couple of different ways with these guys and do a bunch of different stuff. Yeah, the commander taking a damage but getting an extra infantry. We already know the power of movement. Hence grav drive. We didn't want it to turn into have a free second grav drive because you can imagine somebody with two grav drives going crazy. Which
Yeah,
is
I think this one cries. If you can get it, if you can have a red skip, I would like Duranium armor. I would like light wave deflectors. I would like to play it ghost style.
well,
Go
and
everywhere.
a lot of people underestimate the flagship.
Yeah, because you just say you don't get to roll.
Yeah, 1 versus 1, one of your ships is not in the fight.
Yeah.
And so against 1v1 or two, if anything that's a single ship is just dead.
Yeah. Cool.
You combine that though with assault cannon.
Mm.
Now you're walking in, and two of your ships are not in the fight. One of them just gets blown up with the assault cannon right away, and another one gets locked out. That seriously skews the numbers right off the bat.
Yeah. Wow.
But
Yeah, that's
again,
interesting.
you're going all red. You're not doing other things, so then you're not doing. You know what I mean? So
Oh,
it's
I was thinking blue. I was thinking red skip to Duranium armor, destroyer 2, and then just blue, 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 blue
yeah.
every time.
Like I said,
Uh,
they're a faction that, and the shape of how they play will change depending on which tech path you go. But there are
yeah.
things in all the tech paths that will make them work in different ways. So they end up being a very flexible faction.
Yeah.
Combine that,
I was thinking fleet logistics, Diplo style things with them.
yeah.
Be like,
Combine that with their secret manipulation, and you've got a strong faction in just about any map.
yeah. Yeah, exactly, because you go somewhere and you can do how many destroyers you like and how many mechs you like. So you can take like a 3 planet system, right? With 9 resources and then Diplo, lock it down for the objective, something like that. Yeah, that's very powerful.
And like the Miko, even there, you've got choices in your tech path for them. Um, because mycelium ring 2, the extra production and being able to do forward production jump style with the Sardak, like the Sardak do. You take a system, throw up a ring, and have a forward production right there. It's not going to happen all the time, but if you can do it at the right time, it can be extremely powerful. Psychoactive armaments, guys didn't get a chance to see it, but that one is ridiculous. And yes, it requires green, and everybody goes, "Ooh, green's bad." For these guys,
Psychoactive armaments. Where are we now?
over by
Yeah,
yellow.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, After your opponent makes a combat roll, you may exhaust this card. If you do, then for each die of that roll that did not produce a hit, you may re-roll that die. So basically, all his misses, you get to re-roll to roll for hits against himself. You combine that with like Fighter 2, where you can throw one fighter at him against his massive fleet and soften it up. Where you're losing a fighter and he's suddenly having his entire fleet shooting itself.
Oh, huh. It's only 2 green actually.
And it's only 2 green.
Yeah, Sipolin is into a phase now where he was all yellow.
Yeah.
I want my alliance to go all yellow and get my Mycelium ring. I don't think it was.
But you know, if you've got fighter 2, you know, with that plus, you know, and their infantry is pretty. You're gonna be doing heavy infantry anyway, because you want to have the infantry around for the deploy effect and other stuff. I feel like infantry 2 is a little more viable for this faction, even though he likes to poo-poo it.
Yeah, I disagree with his PDS pick. Actually, he was probably thinking it was good with his die ability.
And
But,
he also was not using his commander very often. That's a sustain for one unit.
yeah, exactly.
And I gotta check. I think that this is incorrect, and I don't think the update has made it in here. And I've submitted it a couple of times. It's supposed to be here, I thought, and I'll have to check the reference doc. But it was one commodity or one trade good to cancel one of these hits.
I was thinking that too was a bit strange because people never had commodities lying around.
Yeah, I think it's commodity or trade good, and that's a free sustain every round of combat.
Yeah.
And yeah, it costs you and it drains your bank account, but keeping units on the field, you know, spending one commodity to keep from having to rebuild a 4-cost destroyer or a 2-cost cruiser even.
That's pretty nice. I need to look. This is the first time I even looked at many of these factions, so I really need to think about this. But you've done a really good job, Philroy. It's very impressive.
Oh, it was a team effort. We were all hammering on each other. There were some very heated discussions, arguing about things. Like, oh, this is really want, but we can't do this. Okay, well, fine. If we can't do it like this, how about we do it like that? Okay. You don't know how long it took me to work out a version of the Snellis mech that worked, because I really wanted my destroyers to be dropping mechs on places. Like, we can't do it that way. We can't do it that way. Oh, we can't do it this way. We can't do it. It's stealth insertion. I'm trying to get somebody to be able to transport a unit, drop it on a planet, and avoid PDS. So we finally found the right phrasing that worked. Anyway, I gotta get going.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for the chat.
Yep. Later. Take care, Ibsen. Bye-bye.